you want to go play upstairs?
Okay, it's saying something about moderation. Shalom, fam. Here with Sister April and Brother Eric, and we are just gonna have a talk about being in truth and living here in America and the possibility of moving outside of America.
Shalom, family.
All right.
Shalom.
And if y'all want to introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about, your walk and whatever y'all want to share.
Brother Eric, this is my wife, April. I got into the truth around 2016, 2017, and it was, to me, it was pleasurable because I was able to get away from the lies and everything like that. So I actually enjoyed it. Um, I love it. I love it. I wouldn't go back to living in the world ever.
My experience was
Hallelujah.
totally different. I came up in Christianity. I had my whole family basically were preachers. I was preaching. I was an evangelist. And when he went into the truth, I said, "You are in a cult," and I wanted no parts of it. No parts. So it
Yeah.
took some work and a lot of prayer. With him and some friends to actually help the scales fall off of my eyes. But now that I'm here, I would go nowhere else. So
All
absolutely
praises.
love it.
All praises.
Hallelujah. Okay, so same question from you there. You gotta leave. Sorry, fam. It's reality. Same question from earlier. So being in truth, on the short, you mentioned about it being difficult with family, or it created space or a falling out almost with family. So how do you navigate being in the workspace with being in the truth? Adhering to all the different things that we have to adhere to here in the U.S.
Well, for me, one of the biggest parts for me is being able to keep the holy days.
Mm,
That's difficult for us, especially with the schedule and with me being in management. So that part we're still trying to work out. So that's why I'm trying to get my own business up and running full time so that I'm not held to what they say and I can actually celebrate the holy days when I want to celebrate them. However, comma, when it comes to celebrating holidays within the office, they already know she does not do it. Don't come her way with that. So I don't
okay.
do it. I don't participate, but I don't judge them for doing it. You do what you do. I'm do what I do, and we have that respect within my office.
Yeah,
So
I have the same, challenges that she has. Um, they know I don't celebrate holidays or anything like that. They don't ask me to, participate in anything like that. I don't have any problems like that. But, you know, celebrating the feast days is challenging, but, we're going to work through it. This is our land of captivity, so we're going to make it happen as best we can. Once she gets her business up and running, I'm going to maintain a job so we can have some, insurance and stuff
Watch
like
out.
that. But eventually, I'm going to get my own business up and running, so we'll be totally independent from the system.
but I am working with HR to actually honor because they do honor other people holidays. So I'm getting a list from our assembly just to let them know that these are the holy days that we celebrate. We don't celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that. And so they're going to have to actually start honoring me having those days off.
All praises.
Yeah, fam, bear with us because we about to flip the camera just a little bit. Um, because it's just a lot better for being alive. Okay. Okay. Oh no, it said it's locked. Excuse me. We, we
It's
can't
all right.
rotate it. Okay. Okay, fam. My next question. So, how do you see? Okay, first off, brother Eric, can you tell us how you have set yourself apart in other ways with the U.S. system? You can tell us as little as much as you want to share, but just tell us some of the things that we could do to set ourselves apart. We know we set ourselves apart spiritually,
Yes.
but how can we set ourselves apart from their system, their
Yeah.
I
Well,
won't say not legal system, but you know.
you have to learn. The challenging thing about it is we were indoctrinated young. But if they would have taught us the true nature of this country that we live in, that it actually turned into a corporation, and that we're actually all employees of an corporation. But since they didn't tell us about it, there's actually exit plans that are in place. You just have to do the research.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm doing the research to, get myself separated, and it's a slow process because they put a lot of roadblocks in the way, But if anybody that wants to do the research, just like in the truth, if you read, you'll study and you'll become, knowledgeable on all the things that you need to do. Just like in slavery, the plantation owner doesn't want to lose one slave because they know if they lose one slave, then other slaves will be like, "Hey, I can go too." So they're gonna fight you, but you just have to be willing to stand, 10 toes down, just like we stand 10 toe down in the truth.
But
Okay.
the most important part of that is actually knowing what you can and cannot do, because they'll tell you a lot of things that you can't do. So that's why it's so important to study for yourself
So
so that
true.
you can make your own arguments, be it you have to go to court or not. So if you can actually stand and you know what you're talking about, they back down. They won't back down if they feel like you don't know what you're talking about, though. So
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely being knowledgeable of
Yes.
the laws and navigating behind some of the things that they put in place.
Absolutely.
So so I guess that lead me to my next question. What is like one bit of advice that you would recommend, families that's living in the truth and that want to be able to move freely, even in this country and even or outside of this country, the way that we should be moving? You know,
As
just one bit of advice.
as people born here in the United States of America,
Right.
notice the words I use, the United States of America, you need to read the Constitution because it'll tell you what you can and you cannot do as far as locomotion and traveling. There's a lot of statutes in place that'll, keep you restricted and everything like that. So you have to be, like my wife said, knowledgeable of what you can and can't do because they'll tell you what you can't do, but they won't tell you what you can. And even when you show them, hey, this is what your piece of paper says,
Right.
they have a lot of things in place that will try and deter you from actually doing it. But if you stand strong, just like we, with the scriptures, you'll be able to do it. Um, One of the things that'll definitely be excellent is, like I said, knowing the Constitution, understanding the Bill of Rights, and knowing which system you operate in. There's two different systems. Just like in truth, we have the truth and then you have what's called Christianity. So you just got to learn how to operate in the system that's going to be beneficial to you.
and you have to also understand that our law enforcement, they do not actually know the law.
No.
So they're trying to uphold something that they don't really know about. And when you have more knowledge than them, it irritates them.
Hmm.
And then they try to come against you. So you have to also know that you have to maintain calm. You have to be prayed up when you go out here, and you know that you have a fight on your hand, because they are going to try to write you up, arrest you, or whatever the case may be. But once it gets to court, it gets thrown out 9 times out of 10. Like you say, when you know what the rules are and how to go by them, and then they end up getting in trouble. So that's the great part.
Yes.
So, and I was gonna look it up. The actual, the ex NFL player that was pulled over, and he let them know I was traveling.
Right.
And he, of course, I think they asked him like, "Are you a resident here?" Or "What are you doing?" And
Right.
he kept stating over and over, "I'm a traveler. I'm traveling."
Right.
And they kept asking him for his license and insurance, and he just would not give them. He was calm. He was like,
Right.
"Hey, I know my rights," and he was like, "Well, go ahead and call your sergeant," and
Mm-hmm.
he was explaining to them that he understand what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you said, it's until you give them jurisdiction,
Right.
they don't even have it over you.
Right.
So,
That's why they keep questioning you and
mm,
asking you for these articles of, a license,
mm,
insurance. When you give them those things, you give them jurisdiction over you
right,
because they don't have it until you give it to them. We think that they have it because they come with the lights flashing and everything like that, and they wear the costume that says they have authority. But, that's why they don't do anything. And, when you first say no, they get
exactly,
upset because you're supposed to listen to me because I am the authority figure here. Well, until you give them that position, they don't have it. So then what they'll do is they resort to violence. They call it arrest. It's violence. They're kidnapping you because they're taking you against your will. And like my wife said, if you understand how the laws and everything work and how to articulate yourself, you might have to go to court, but you'll win.
Okay. Okay. So fam, let's switch gears. So we understand that being here, we have to operate in this system.
Mhm.
In the saying they say, what they say, give
Give Caesar what's
Caesar.
Caesar and give Yah what's Yah.
Okay. So with that being said, we have a lot of people that say, Black Americans even say that, well, we are indigenous to this land here, and I know we're in the truth, and we know Deuteronomy 28, and we know that some of us were brought here, but a lot of people still say that a lot of us were already here. So it's no point of us looking at Africa, because ultimately the Most High will give us this land. I always say it like this: I feel like they'll burn it down before they give it to us. They'll, you know, even if we could reign here and take over, but they'll burn it down. They'll destroy it before they hand it over to us. So, what's y'all take on either being indigenous to this land, or our ancestral land that I personally believe that it's in Africa, but
Well, in the scriptures, it does say that we were here before a lot of the
scattered.
so-called colonizers were here,
Right.
because during Solomon's reign, they had an agreement with the other nations around them, and they had a
Mhm.
navy that actually brought them here. So there was a lot of people here before the colonizers got here, and so yes, there is ability to us being indigenous to the land.
Mhm.
As far as us reigning on this land, this is not it. This is mystery Babylon, and in scriptures it's going to say it's going to be destroyed. He's going to gather us up from the four corners and then take us back to our land. So I agree with you. They would rather destroy it here, but Yah already has that
It's
in the
already in.
works. He already has that in the works, so we don't have to worry about that.
Okay. All right. So now, if whatever they have planned with this next world war, like me and Stephanie had a conversation about having a go bag, and we during COVID 2019 we knew that we needed to have at least something in the car, non-perishables and some water and first aid. What should we do? We know spiritually we have to be prepared more than anything. Physically just comes with it. Do you believe that we should be prepared with land in other places, or a location, our meetup location? Do you think like that? I mean, do y'all think like that at all? Or we should be preparing to that capacity?
Well, one of the things that we talked about is actually purchasing land and building our own compound.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to have a compound with our family, with everybody that's in like mind, everybody growing different types of food,
Mm-hmm.
so that when the scarcity comes, we actually have food that's stored away. So we have our non perishable stored away. We have enough water. We have tanks of water. We know how to live off of the land. We're not dependent upon the
Mm-hmm.
government for anything, but we also have stuff not just where we are located, but buried in other places. Because what we realize
Okay.
is that when things go to hell, which they will, people are going to come and start trying to rob, kill,
Different.
steal.
Yep.
And so if you have different things like seeds so that you can continue to grow, because if you're growing your own food, but if you have seeds buried somewhere else, name something different, and just other different things like whatever you decide to have, water and other things, different places and medications, antibiotics, stuff that you may need if we get sick or if we get hurt. We believe in having it buried someplace
Mm-hmm.
different than where we're housed, so that we know how to get back to it. And so I feel like that's something that's very important, that people aren't thinking, they're just living for now and not planning for what's to
Mm-hmm.
come. And we see it. The Bible has told us what's happening. It told us what's to come, but y'all also gives you wisdom.
Exactly.
So
Okay. Hey, you broke that down really good.
thank
Okay.
you.
So And okay, so I think Truth Unedited just put out a video recently, and he was just saying how you should be not just like you said, stationed in one area or one place. You need to be like a moving. You need to be able to, when it's time to pick up and go, you should be able to move. So, you know, Eric, you mentioned this too. Yah gave you like a vision, and my niece recently had a dream, and she's had the reoccurring dream. of all of us, leaving. Either like the last dream she had, we was all at the airport, and she said she forgot her passport, so that gave her anxiety, about passport. So
Mhm.
us coming, taking this trip, they were like, well, she called us on the way. We was already on the road. She said, "Are y'all traveling with your passport?" I'm like, "No, we ain't traveling with our passport. We just going out of town. We in the same state." And she was like, "Just something telling me, y'all should just travel with it." And
Mhm.
normal people don't even travel with their passport,
That's so true.
And I know you said something to me, our passport shouldn't even say what it say.
Right. It
We
shouldn't
should
be a
be.
U.S. citizen.
So tell us a little bit about that. What's the benefit of not having that U.S. citizen on there versus the global citizen or national U.S.
Right.
national?
Well, when you're a U.S. citizen, they can restrict your travel, and you don't want them to be able to restrict your travel at all. So there's ways of actually getting your passport, your nationality changed from being a U.S. citizen, which is a federal employee,
Mm-hmm.
to an American national, which is basically a native of the land. And as a native of the land, you have rights to travel. What they say is ingress and egress from the land
Okay.
without needing permission. So yes, and also to go back to what you were stating, being able to move. One of the things that, like my wife said, people live for the now, and they're so attached to things that they're not willing to, when something is getting ready to go down, the first thing they say is, "But what about my house? What about my car? What about my job?" The scriptures tell us you got to be able to pick up and move when that cloud, lifts. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever Yah tells us that it's time to move, He's going to tell us where to go, but we're going to move. What if? Yeah, we're going to live comfortable while we're here, but when He says to move, we're going to move, because we're not attached to something that is basically going to be an anchor and cause us to stumble and fall.
You
Okay.
don't want to be like Lot's wife.
Absolutely.
Looking at the
Man,
longing.
that all, and it wasn't until like maybe last year I really understood that. First, you hear the story when you're young,
Mhm.
you think like, okay, well, she looked back and, well, I'm thinking about scientifically, say the reason why she turned into a pillar of salt is because
Right.
of, the impact,
Yeah.
of whatever the bombs that, whatever the Most High
Yes.
dropped, the fire, balls of fire he dropped, it was just so much heat. And then, really, it, like you said, it was her longing.
Right.
So I'm gonna be honest and transparent. When we moved to Tanzania, we longed for certain things here, like convenience wise, because
Right.
when we first got there, we didn't have a refrigerator or any appliances, which that was by our own planning because we
Hmm.
could have planned to rent a place with appliances or we could have planned to purchase it, but we wanted the convenience. So a lot of people who do move to another like an African country, sometimes they don't plan as well, and it's not a good experience at the beginning.
Right.
We pressed on because we, for one, took a shipping container and moved everything we have. Everything we have still there, but it's just longing. You still, even though I want to live there, I still want to live there, but it's still pieces of me connected here. Like rather that be family, or even sometimes it's money. Because I'm like, well, I know I can come here and get a job real quick. There, you can't. You gotta be creative. You
Right.
gotta create your own wealth and create your own business. So what do y'all think? Well, I know for one thing, you're gonna have land and you're gonna grow your own food. So
Yes.
I feel like Brother Clyde would agree with you 100%. That's like the best thing in Africa right now because that's some of the most wealthiest are the most secure people are people that's growing their own food.
Mhm.
So what do you see? Do you see yourself taking a trip in the near future to, you know, scope the land out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. We definitely planning to go
Tell
out
Brother
there
Ken.
and experience what the lifestyle is like, and then also look for places to be able to set some roots down.
Okay.
And then he also has a friend that's building out that way who knows a whole lot about the area and he's willing to take us out there and show us the way, show us,
Mm-hmm.
different things. He has connections and stuff. So I think that's a really big important thing. And I would like to become that type of person that if others that are still here in the States, once we move, are interested, to be able to help them come over and know exactly what they need to do, have the different connections and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, reach back, pull somebody else in to help them. So I would like to be that person
That's what you're
one
doing.
day.
Okay,
That's
that's
what
a
you're
that's what
doing.
to be honest, that's what we're doing, and mainly like people that we close with.
Mhm.
At first, when we first started doing videos on YouTube, we thought that it'll be easy for us to do it, and we would be good with doing it. But then we realized it's a lot that come with putting business out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Even like now, it's only so much we need to say because even our own people, I would
Some of
say.
the worst.
So recently, I listened to a study of how, like you said, infiltration,
Yeah.
how everything was infiltrated, like all the way down to like public housing back in like the early 70s or
Mhm.
60s. They infiltrate everything just so they can hear what we talking about. And it was mainly infiltrating churches and small groups and
Right.
finding out how we. So I think it's always going to be hard for us to come together, even to get people there.
Yeah.
We're going to get infiltrated, and it's going to be people like trying to divide us or separate us. One thing we experienced in Tanzania is dealing with people who are, say they in the truth, living in the truth, but also scamming on the side.
Mm.
So, I think that discouraged a lot of people. Right now, we dealing with that issue within the online community.
Yes.
There
There's a
is no
lot of that.
trust.
Yeah.
The trust is gone. So I think, once y'all come and then once we
Hmm.
finish doing what we're doing, we can bridge that
Well,
for
like you
people.
say, like my wife said, you got to have like-minded people. Meaning truly like-minded people, the ones that really love Yah, wants His people to be prosperous.
Exactly.
So that's going to be beneficial.
And I think another important thing is to just be prayed up and to allow Yah to lead you to those people and or bring those people to you. And you can't accept everybody that comes. Sometimes you're gonna have to pause and say, Yah, is this your will? Is this something that you really want me to do? And that's the thing. I think we try to do too much of ourselves and not lean on Yah
There you go.
for him to give us the answer and say, hey, move forward, or no, that's not
Yep.
it. And so I feel like we need to take a lot more to him instead of trying to lean into our own understanding. So
You know what they say: all skin folk ain't kin folk.
That's 100% true.
so true.
And we get the warning signs and we still ignore it because we want to see the best in people.
Exactly.
And that's what hurt us.
As Israelites, we're so trusting.
I'm not.
And you shouldn't be. You really should have your guard up. And some people may see it as like, oh, you hard and you ain't really welcoming. And that's what, I was out there and the camp was telling me. I was telling him, explaining to him that we keep our circle tight and we don't mind fellowshipping because we fellowship with people all the time. I told him we go to, Brother Benya Israel and his conference is that Hebrew Israelite Justice.
Yeah.
I'm about to say the name wrong, but they do conferences all over the state, and we went to some and we fellowship, and it was good. It felt good to be around people like how we have conversations. It felt good, but do I have my guard completely down? Like no,
Yeah.
and
You shouldn't.
yeah,
The
and
Bible
he
tells you to not, don't put your trust in man.
exactly because who knows the heart of man? Like
Test the
only
spirit by the spirit.
Mhm.
there you go, and I was trying to explain to him like, hey, we are believers. I know we understand the word to an extent, but we also practice differently. Like he said, well, you keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I said, yeah, we do. He was like, well, what you doing out here? Same thing he said to my wife, like, you out here on a Saturday, what you doing? We explained to him like, hey, we out here, we know what we doing. We
Right.
acknowledging, that we maybe shouldn't be out here on the Sabbath.
Well, and this is the thing, and that's one of the different debates that happen between a lot of Israelites. When is the actual Sabbath? You
Mhm.
have some that are Saturday Sabbath keepers, and then you have the lunar Sabbath keepers, and
Shifts.
depending on which you know uh, form of doctrine you subscribe to, you're gonna keep the Sabbath at different times.
Yep.
So if you're a lunar Sabbath keeper, guess what? It wouldn't have been you breaking the Sabbath on that day. You would have just been having a family day out.
Where is she? Tell her to come here. Y'all reality right here. Y'all see this little girl.
Hey, baby
So
girl.
okay. So I don't know how long we've been on here. So let's do the I guess we'll do the final questions because I know y'all tired of being on this live. So if you guys could put a timeline on you moving to an African country, what does that timeline look like for you? If you had to put it like, if today the Most High, put it on you like, hey, you need to really be, you know, planning. Because sometimes he'll just like put a little bit on the heart, like we'll start researching. But if you had to put a timeline on it, what would that timeline look like for you?
For me, it would be within 2 to 3 years.
Oh,
hmm Honestly,
two
two
to
to three
three
years.
years.
Because if Yah's putting it on my heart and that's where He's leading me, He's going to make the way.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to go ahead and start tying up all of my loose ends here, finding a place. So that means just to travel and getting back and forth to establish and set up. It would be 2 to 3 years. It wouldn't take me a long time.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah.
But if He said go tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow and not know what
And no.
what was what.
Exactly.
Well,
If that's what He says, do go tomorrow, babe.
We gotta go.
yep. I had me and Stephanie actually had a conversation with a couple who just moved to Tanzania, and the husband basically told me like, "Hey, this is what the Most High called us to do. That's why we're here." So they're solely to sow back into the communities there, and they plan to help out orphanages, and that's pretty much what they said they called to do. So I mean, and when they was telling me, they had already traveled and they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and I'm like, okay, I get it. And that kind of made me happy because I'm like, it's good to hear our people not moving based off what they saw on YouTube.
Right.
A lot of us move, and my mom was the one who encouraged me to watch some of these groups.
The expatriates.
Watching their channels and
Yeah.
everything. It was all good, and I'm like, Sister April, I'm not convinced right away. Like even when I was there, I was questioning a lot of what was moving because I'm like, well, I know business, and I know business people wouldn't make certain decisions
Right.
the way they make it, and they wouldn't tell you to cut corners. So people think when they move to Africa, they can cut corners, drop everything. They say max out your credit cards here. You don't have to worry about nothing. Just that's how you. Those are all red flags.
Yes.
So when I see people like O'Shea right now, he's saying Black Americans just don't move to Africa. I'm tired of y'all getting scammed, y'all crying. So he over us right now, and he said he don't want to be around us. Is what he said. Now O'Shea, shout out to you. Us people in the truth, we don't want to be around you either. To be honest,
Absolutely.
we no Z. No Z. Take the phone. All right, Shalom, fam. Sorry about that. Where were we? I don't even know. Oh yeah,
You were talking about
this guy
O'Shea.
O'Shea and what he. So right now, a lot of us are, for one, we love taking his commentary on videos, but ultimately, people living in the truth who true followers of the Most High, we're not dependent on any of y'all to like provide us with any kind of stability in the country. So especially for the people who like this couple who plan to set their own foundation on the Most High. That's how we are too. That's why we don't share exactly where we have our land. We don't even share any of our business details anymore online or even talk about it with people because we got people who just don't wish you well at all. So when they say, oh, like shalom, shalom, and I get what O'Shea mean.
Yeah.
Y'all say shalom, y'all say the Most High, but you don't mean any of it.
Right.
And it's crazy, these very people who have hurt different people, they say the same thing. So it's hard to tell us apart. But like you say, test the spirit. So as soon as you get there, you're gonna test exactly, you're gonna pull their card.
Yeah.
They either gonna curse you out, get on YouTube and do a video about you. That's what they do. That's how you identify that they don't have the fruits of the spirit. They don't have what the Most High is leading us. So all right, how have y'all seen any other people within your community here in Florida? Have y'all seen anybody that have even shown you any interest in moving outside of this country or have mentioned moving outside of this country?
Here locally, no. I do
No.
have a friend that he expanded his business in Tanzania.
Okay.
So that's the friend that my wife was talking about earlier. So like she said, he has told us that, hey, I just want you to come. I want you to experience it. You guys will love it. So I do have a
And
person
hopefully he's
that
gonna do
has
that this summer.
a.
That'd be
I do
nice.
have a connection over there that is a viable connection, and we look forward to it.
Okay. So they gonna connect with us too when they get there.
Absolutely.
So me personally, I've seen and heard of a few people that want to travel to Africa, and that's what kind of led me to like create my little community again, my travel community, and invite people on the trip. Now, sadly, it's not always people in the truth that want to take the trip.
Right.
And I would more so lean more towards people who living in the truth, so that I would be okay with maybe even showing you what we're doing, like business wise. Because to be honest, if we don't learn how to come together and keep our dollars within our own community, then we won't grow at all.
We're always conquered.
Yeah, we always get set up to be divided.
Yeah.
It's her name is Wayne, and she has a YouTube, and she told me about the Patel family.
Hmm.
And as you study the Indians and how they have been so successful, and even when they were immigrants in the U.S. and how they started, I don't know what Judea's doing. Stephanie Judea's in the kitchen sink. Um, and she mentioned, she was like, that reminds me of Black Americans now. Like, we have the opportunity to come in and just make a small investment
Hmm.
and build something outside of this system, which is falling like literally
Right.
before our eyes.
Mhm.
And you try to tell people that it's falling,
They don't believe it.
it's like being watching that movie Chicken Run. He out there telling everybody, I seen a piece of the sky fall and hit me in my head. Nobody believing me because they can't see it. And it wasn't until it was completely falling, that was being invaded, then they decided that it was time to make a move.
Yeah.
So I get frustrated with my own family because I'm like, y'all see what we're doing. Y'all are in our family, y'all know it. Why aren't y'all like buying into it? You know, it
Well, everybody isn't called. So unless Yah calls you, you're not going to see it. You're going to have that strong delusion. You're going to believe in the lies that this land is always going to be prosperous for us. So sometimes like the Most High and the Messiah said, when you go, if they accept your peace, good. If not, keep the
mm,
dust off, and you got to keep moving.
that's true. Okay. All right, fam. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will plan to do more interviews like this. Hopefully, Sister April will get with my wife, and they're gonna do some podcasting too. And brother Eric, but I want to thank y'all for joining my live, man. I know it's
Yeah,
like
thanks for
last
having me,
minute,
man.
but we appreciate y'all.
All
And my daughter in the sink.
right.
Judea.